Jesús Gil. A name synonymous with dazzling success and crushing defeats. A man who lived life his way. A force of nature who left an indelible mark on everything he touched, loved, hated, and impossible to ignore. This is the story of Jesús Gil, a man who embodies the very essence of charisma and controversy. Gil's life was a tapestry woven with threads of ambition, audacity, and an iron will to defy expectations. He rose from humble beginnings to conquer the worlds of business, sports, and politics. He was a master builder, a charismatic leader, and a shrewd manipulator of public opinion. But his path to greatness was paved with questionable decisions and ethical compromises. This film delves into the extraordinary and controversial life of Jesús Gil, exploring the triumphs and tragedies that defined his tumultuous journey. We will examine the man behind the myth, uncovering the events that shaped him and the decisions that led to his meteoric rise and dramatic fall. Jesús Gil was born in 1933 in the small town of Burgo de Osma, Spain. His childhood was marked by the harsh realities of poverty and the rural landscape, which shaped his character. These formative years instilled in him a deep work ethic, an unrelenting ambition to overcome adversity, and an innate understanding of the human condition. He learned from a very young age the importance of hard work, resilience, and the power of persuasion. These qualities would serve him well as he navigated the treacherous waters of Spanish society. He possessed a natural charisma that drew people to him, a magnetism that allowed him to connect with individuals from all walks of life. But ambition, like fire, can be both a creative and a destructive force. As Gil's star rose, so did his willingness to bend, and sometimes break, the rules to achieve his goals. The line between right and wrong became blurred as he pursued success with an almost singular focus. Gil's path to prominence began in the world of construction. He built an empire brick by brick, driven by grand visions. The collapse of a dining hall in Los Angeles de San Rafael cast a long shadow. He faced jail time, but emerged determined to rebuild his business. Gil took control of Atlético de Madrid, transforming the club. His extravagant leadership captivated fans and outraged his rivals. His tenure as president solidified his status as a national figure. The story of Jesús Gil begins in the heart of Spain, in the small town of Burgo de Osma. Imagine a world very different from the glitz and glamour that would later define his life. This was a place where life was tough, resources were scarce, and ambition was often stifled by the weight of tradition. Born in 1933, Gil's early years were marked by the austerity of rural life. His family, though loving, struggled to make ends meet. The scarcity he experienced firsthand instilled in him a deep desire for a better life, a life free from the constraints of poverty. These early experiences would shape his worldview, fueling his ambition and determination to succeed. But hardships often breed resilience, and Gil was no stranger to overcoming adversity. He learned to navigate the challenges of his environment, developing a keen sense of resourcefulness and a special ability to spot opportunities where others only saw obstacles. These formative years were his crucible, forging in him the traits that would define his meteoric rise and tumultuous journey. Even as a child, Gil had undeniable charisma, an ability to connect with people from all walks of life. He had a way of capturing attention, of captivating the audience with his words and presence. This innate charm, along with his sharp wit and unwavering self-confidence, would become his greatest asset. He observed the power dynamics of his small town, the way influence flowed and how relationships could be leveraged to achieve desired outcomes. He learned the art of persuasion, honing his ability to read people, understand their motivations, and adapt his approach. These were skills he would later master on a much larger stage. As he grew, Gil's ambition expanded beyond the confines of his rural upbringing. He longed for a less ordinary life, a life where he could leave his mark on the world. He set his sights on bustling cities and burgeoning industries, which promised wealth and influence. The seeds of his ambition, sown in the fertile ground of his challenging childhood, began to sprout. The allure of opportunity drew him to Madrid, the beating heart of Spain. The city, vibrant and full of possibilities, contrasted with the tranquil rhythms of his hometown. It was a place where fortunes were made and lost, where ambition was rewarded, and where a young man with a sharp mind and exceptional eloquence could forge his own destiny. He immersed himself in this new environment, eager to prove himself and make his mark. He took on various jobs, each providing him with valuable lessons in the art of negotiation, closing deals, and navigating the complexities of business. He observed, he learned, and he honed his skills, always seeking an edge, an opportunity to stand out from the crowd. It was during this time that Gil discovered his passion for the world of business. A world where the risks were high, the rewards even greater, and success was measured in tangible terms. He recognized that this was his arena, a place where he could leverage his charisma, his business acumen, and his unwavering determination to achieve his goals. As Gil navigated the world of business, he discovered a talent for self-promotion, an ability to capture the public's attention. He understood the power of image and the importance of cultivating a persona that resonated with his audience. He was a human being, a natural showman, a master at crafting a narrative that captivated and intrigued. He embraced the media, using it as a platform to amplify his message and build his brand. He understood that controversy could be as effective as praise in keeping his name in the headlines. His pronouncements were bold, his actions often unexpected, and his personality larger than life itself. This calculated mix of charisma, boldness, and a good dose of controversy would become his trademark. He was a man who thrived under the spotlight, who enjoyed the challenge of winning over an audience, whether it was a room full of potential investors, a stadium packed with football fans, or a nation glued to their television screens. He was, in many ways, a precursor to the modern media personality. A man who understood the power of image in a world increasingly obsessed with image. The construction industry, with its tangible rewards and potential for rapid growth, proved to be the perfect stage for Gil's ambition and entrepreneurial spirit. He had an innate understanding of the dynamics of supply and demand, recognizing that the growing Spanish middle class yearned for affordable housing and leisure opportunities. He founded his construction company, laying the foundations for what would become an extensive business empire. Gil had a keen eye for opportunities, identifying undeveloped land on the outskirts of major cities and envisioning expansive residential complexes that promised a better way of life. He was a master salesman. His charisma and powers of persuasion were irresistible to both investors and home buyers. Gil's early projects, although modest in scale, bore the mark of his ambitious vision. He was not content with simply constructing buildings. His goal was to create communities, self-contained worlds that met all the needs of their residents. His developments included swimming pools, restaurants, and recreational facilities, amenities that were considered luxurious for their time. He was selling a dream, a vision of social ascent, and a life of leisure, and the Spanish public was eager to buy what he was offering. The Los Angeles de San Rafael urbanization, an extensive complex located on the outskirts of Madrid, was conceived as Gil's masterpiece, a testament to his grand vision and unwavering ambition. It was a project of unprecedented scale, an autonomous city with thousands of apartments, restaurants, shops, and even an artificial lake. This ambitious enterprise captured the imagination of the Spanish public. Gil, with his characteristic flair for spectacle, promoted Los Angeles de San Rafael as a paradise within reach. A place where families could escape the hustle and bustle of urban life and embrace a life of comfort and leisure. The apartments sold quickly, driven by Gil's persuasive marketing campaigns and the aspirations of a nation eager to climb the social ladder. However, beneath the facade of progress and prosperity, cracks began to appear. Rumors circulated about shortcuts in construction, ignored building codes, and questionable quality materials used in the rush to complete the project. Gil, driven by his relentless pursuit of profits and his desire to satisfy the insatiable demand for his vision, ignored these concerns, dismissing them as the envious whispers of his rivals. On April 15, 1969, tragedy struck Los Angeles de San Rafael, forever changing the course of Jesús Gil's life, and casting a long shadow over his legacy. A dining hall, filled with residents celebrating an Easter event, collapsed, killing 58 people and injuring more than 100. The news of the disaster shocked Spain. Images of the collapsed structure, the frantic rescue efforts, and the heartbroken faces of the victims' families dominated the airwaves. The nation was in mourning and the public demanded answers. The spotlight, which Gil had always managed so skillfully, now harshly illuminated the darker side of his ambition. Investigations into the collapse revealed a litany of failures, low-quality materials, inadequate foundations, and a blatant disregard for building codes in the pursuit of profit and rapid construction. Gil, initially defiant, he faced charges of criminal negligence and involuntary manslaughter. The weight of his ambition, once a source of strength, now threatened to crush him. From San Rafael Dinenhold and its devastating consequences, code space, the end of Jesus kills K. And face public outrage, little batless, and the weight of responsibility for the lost lives. But in the face of adversity, he showed an incredible capacity for resilience and reinvention. He served a prison sentence, a period of reflection that in some cases tempered his ambition, but did nothing to diminish his drive. During his break, he set out to rebuild his business empire. His determination was fueled by a desire to prove his critics wrong and reclaim his position at the forefront of Spanish society. Gil understood the power of image and the importance of controlling the narrative. He engaged with the media, carefully offering statements of remorse, while simultaneously highlighting his philanthropic efforts and his commitment to rebuilding his businesses. He was a master of public perception, with the ability to deflect blame and portray himself as a victim of circumstances. Undeterred by the setbacks he had suffered, Gil set his sights on new horizons. His ambition, once solely focused on the construction world, now expanded to encompass new industries and ventures. He diversified his business interests, acquiring hotels, restaurants, and even a meatpacking company. His entrepreneurial spirit remained as strong as ever. He possessed an astonishing ability to identify opportunities, often in unconventional places, and a knack for surrounding himself with talented people who could help him realize his vision. He was a shrewd negotiator, a relentless dealmaker who was not afraid to take risks or challenge the status quo. Gil's businesses were often shrouded in controversy. His methods sometimes bordered on the unorthodox. He was accused of using his influence to secure favorable contracts, of bending the rules to suit his needs, and of employing questionable accounting practices to maximize profits. However, despite the constant scrutiny and whispers of irregularities, his business empire continued to grow. A testament to his undeniable business acumen and his ability to thrive in the face of adversity. the early 80s, the ambition of Jesús Gil expanded far beyond construction and business. He needed a new stage, a platform to command worship and focus on his name in Spanish law. That stage was Atlético Madrid, a club with passionate fans, but overshadowed by Real Madrid. Gil saw an opportunity to transform Atlético and cement his status in Spanish society. His acquisition in 1987 was met with enthusiasm and trepidation. From the moment he took the reins of Atlético Madrid, Jesús Gil made it clear that he was not just any president. He was a showman, a master of spectacle, infusing every facet of the club with his overwhelming personality. The early years of Gil's reign at Atlético Madrid were marked by unprecedented success, a golden era etched in the club's folklore. The 1995-1996 season saw Atlético achieve a historic double, winning both the league and the Copa del Rey. Beneath the surface of success, cracks began to appear in Gil's reign at Atlético Madrid. His autocratic leadership and poor financial management led to instability, culminating in the club's relegation from the league in the year 2000. Jesús Gil's reign as president of Atlético Madrid ended in 2003, closing a tumultuous chapter in the club's history. His legacy is a complex tapestry of triumph and tribulation, passion and decisions. Questionable. In the late 1980s, Jesús Gil sought a new challenge in Marbella, a playground for the rich and famous. In 1991, he set his sights on the mayoralty, promising to transform Marbella into a first-class destination. Jesús Gil's victory in the 1991 mayoral election signaled a seismic shift in Marbella's politics. Governed with a golden touch, executing large projects with little regard for regulations. Under Gil's leadership, Marbella became synonymous with excess and extravagance. He loved opulence, hosted lavish parties, and courted the media. Behind the facade of prosperity, a darker reality was taking shape in Marbella. In 2002, Operation Malaya exposed widespread corruption, leading to Gil's downfall. Operation Malaya marked the end of Jesús Gil's reign in Marbella. He died in 2004, with his legacy forever tarnished by the corruption scandal. Jesús Gil understood the power of the media, commanding attention with outrageous statements. He gathered the press, using humor and bravado to steer the narrative. Beyond his media savvy, Jesús Gil had undeniable charisma, connecting with people from all walks of life. He was a master, a storyteller. His anecdotes were entertaining and full of self-promotion. Despite all his bravado, Jesús Gil also had a more vulnerable side. He was a man dedicated to his family, and the love for his children and grandchildren was a constant throughout his life. Jesús Gil, a character of immense contradiction, embodied both the best and the worst of his time. A charismatic leader and a tough businessman, he was also a convicted criminal and a lawyer, rising from humble beginnings to amass a fortune, driven by ambition. He embraced wealth and power, yet played the role of a man of the people. He lived life on his own terms, for better or for worse. Check, check, one, check, check. The meteoric rise of Jesús Gil to fame and fortune was inextricably linked to his equally dramatic falls. His relentless ambition, his willingness to bend the rules, and his often ruthless pursuit of his goals inevitably led to conflicts, controversies, and ultimately, a reckoning with the law. His time as president of Atlético de Madrid was marked by financial irregularities and accusations of mismanagement that would eventually catch up with him. His tenure as mayor of Marbella, a whirlwind of grand projects and questionable deals, collapsed with the Malaya Operation corruption scandal, exposing a network of bribery, embezzlement, and abuse of power. The Spanish legal system, which once seemed powerless to hold him accountable, began to close in on him. He faced a long list of charges. His businesses were scrutinized, and his carefully constructed facade of invincibility began to crumble. He was removed from his position as mayor, his assets were frozen, and he faced the real possibility of spending his final years behind bars. Prison, for many, serves as a time of introspection, a forced retreat from the outside world, where one faces the consequences of their actions and is compelled to confront their demons. For Jesús Gil, however, prison seemed to do little to diminish his spirit or his belief in his own righteousness. He served multiple sentences, his time behind bars punctuated by brief periods of freedom, as he appealed his convictions and fought to clear his name. He maintained his innocence, claiming to be a victim of political persecution and a conspiracy orchestrated by his enemies. He ranted against the injustice of it all, his pronouncements from prison as bold and defiant as ever. While prison may not have provoked a profound moral transformation in Jesús Gil, it did offer a glimpse of the man behind the public persona. There were accounts of him showing acts of kindness towards his fellow inmates, using his influence to help the less fortunate within the confines of the prison walls. These flashes of compassion, though fleeting, hinted at a complexity of character that was often overlooked amid the headlines and court cases. In the last years of his life, as his health deteriorated and his legal troubles mounted, one couldn't help but wonder if a sense of regret ever slipped into Jesús Gil's thoughts. Did he ever look back on his tumultuous journey and question the decisions he had made, the paths he had followed? Did he ever regret the human cost of his ambition? The lives that had been irrevocably altered by his actions? From the families mourning their loved ones, lost in the disaster of Los Angeles de San Rafael, to the people whose lives and livelihoods had been destroyed by his corrupt dealings in Marbella? Or did he remain until the end, steadfast in his belief that he had always acted in the best interest of those he represented? That his mistakes were simply the result of an overly enthusiastic pursuit of progress and a refusal to be intimidated by his enemies? These questions, like so many things about Jesús Gil, remain unanswered, adding another layer of complexity to the enigma that was his life. Marbella, the sun-drenched jewel of the Costa del Sol, bears the indelible mark of Jesús Gil's reign. His grand vision and penchant for excess transformed the city. Stroll along the palm-lined avenues of Puerto Banús, and you will witness the legacy of Gil's ambition. Today's Marbella is a city grappling with its past, a place where Gil's legacy is a source of both pride and resentment. Section 3. The Person of Gil, a cultural piece. Jesús Gil, for all his phrases and contradictions, was a larger-than-life character who left an indelible mark on Spanish society. He was a master of self-promotion, a man who understood the power of image and the allure of a good story. He was a media sensation. His statements, often rooted and always entertaining, ensured they grabbed the headlines and sparked debate. He was a man who defied categorization, a complex mix of charisma and disgrace, of generosity and vindictiveness. He could be charming and disarming one minute, then unleash aggression and vitriol the next. He was a manipulator of public opinion, skilled at playing the victim, the underdog, the people's champion, depending on his audience and objectives. Even in death, Gil's persona continues to fascinate and repel, in equal measure. He is a figure that embodies both the aspirations and anxieties of a nation grappling with rapid modernization and the often unequal distribution of wealth and power. It is a cautionary tale, a reminder that charisma, ambition, and a disregard for the rules can propel one to great heights, but can also lead to a spectacular fall from grace. Section 1. A life in broad strokes. The life of Jesús Gil was a spectacle, a grand opera on a national stage. He lived life in broad strokes, shying away neither from the spotlight nor from controversy. Builder, dreamer, destroyer, a man of contradictions. He rose from humble beginnings to conquer business, sports, and politics. He built empires, transforming landscapes and captivating hearts. A master of reinvention, always seeking new challenges. He understood the power of image and connecting with people. A master of media manipulation, forerunner of the modern populist leader. A reflection of an era of rapid economic growth and social change. Section 3. The enduring enigma of Jesús Gil. Even in death, Jesús Gil remains an enigma, a figure that continues to fascinate and repel in equal measure. His story reminds us that reality often surpasses fiction, that human nature is a complex tapestry of light and shadow, and that even the most controversial figures can leave a legacy that defies any categorization. Simple. He was a man who lived life his own way, who never apologized for his ambition or his methods, and who, despite his flaws and transgressions, left an indelible mark on the hearts and minds of millions. He was a man who, for better or worse, embodied the spirit of his time, an era of great promises and great dangers. His story reminds us that history is not written in black and white, but in shades of gray, and that even the greatest figures in history are those who have given us the most life. The most controversial can teach us valuable lessons about ourselves, about the nature of power, and about the importance of seeking truth, justice, and accountability, even in the face of overwhelming charisma and the temptation of easy answers.